Hey guys, Rook and King versus Lone King. This is a super simple endgame, and if you don't know it, you definitely need to. You're going to run into it a lot. Rook endgames are by far the most common type of endgame, so if you don't know how to do this one, stand by and watch. So it's white to move, so what we're going to do first is just make a waiting move. Why do we make that waiting move? Because the whole point of this checkmate is always getting the enemy king to step in front of your king. So in this case, it's the black king. If he steps in front of us, we're able to do this move where we just push the king back. Notice the king cuts off these squares and the rook cuts off these squares, so the king has to go back. And what we're going to do is do that all the way to the edge of the board. All right, and there's two ways to do this. One is to do this method over and over again all the way to the edge of the board, or when the king gets toward the edge, there's a way to cut him off. So I'm going to show you both ways. All right, so we make that waiting move, and let's say the king goes this way. We're going to chase the king down. What we're never going to do is step in front of the king ourselves. So right now, a lot of people make the mistake of advancing their king right here. You can do that. It's going to take a lot longer if you do it this method. What you should do right here, boom, look at this. This rook cuts off all of this. This king has to go this way. And now what you're going to do is chase the king down. All right, if the king comes here, all right, coming closer, you don't want to step in front of the king. Remember, you always want the king to step in front of you. All you're going to do is make this little waiting move. And if they step in front of you, this is checkmate. Is that quick? Notice the king cuts off all of these squares, and your rook is cutting off these squares. That's game over. All right, so let's back up and say, what if the king what if the enemy king continues to run? You just continue to run. Follow here, and notice we have all these squares covered. All right, the king has one square. So we're going to come here. We're going to spend a waiting move, and now if the king steps here, we have checkmate. So they're going to continue to run away. We step here, and now we've achieved that position again where the king has no moves. All right, so the king has to come here, and this is checkmate. So this is the easiest way by far. Get to the king, to the edge of the board, and then you cut off that edge. All right, so I'm going to run it back to the beginning. All right, king runs this way. If they run to the edge of the board, cut them off. Remember this, you have to make contact with your rook because you're connecting with the rook, and you're cutting off these squares, so the king has to go this way. All right, so let's get into the other method where they step in front of you. All right, now they have to go this way because remember, your king creates this barrier right here. Oops, king creates that barrier, and their king has to run away. All right, so they're typically going to try to stay toward the middle because they're going to try to go after your rook and hope you blunder in time trouble or something like that. When your king moves up, like right now, you don't want to check them again because they'll just move right back down and you got to start over. When your king moves up, you want to go the square diagonally from them. You don't want to step in front of them because that's not the correct setup. You want them to step in front of you, so so that way your next move you're able to check them and move them back. All right, so they're going to go toward your rook every time. Typically, that's the most resilient try. All right, what you're going to do is notice I just ran the king to the other side. You just run away, and you're going to run away toward your king. All right, you don't want to run away from your king because they're just going to step further to the edge. All right, so they're going to come back to the middle, and then now you're going to do a waiting move. They get to the middle, check, and now it looks scary because, oh no, they're touching your rook. It's all right, just do it again. Just move away. Once you move away, all right, they might come back toward the middle because you haven't moved your king yet, so they don't have that, you don't have that check yet to step in front. But what you do have is this. Notice I'm diagonal to the king. All right, so if they step in front, now we've achieved that position. So they're going to probably run away. All right, they're going to make the game take as long as possible. And now remember, if they come here, you get that move. Remember, you're cutting everything off. You're making contact with the rook, and all they can do is stay on the edge. You get a checkmate in no time. More than likely, what they'll do is not run toward the edge. They'll stay toward the middle. That way you have to keep doing this whole check maneuver thing. And notice I move up, I stay diagonal to them. I don't go directly in front. I let them go in front. All right, they're going toward your rook. All right, toward your rook. Zip to the other side. They're going to go back to the center. Do not step in front of them. You make that waiting move. Let them step in front of you. But they're not. They're probably going to go away from you. you get closer. All right, now here, they're not gonna run away, because remember, if they do, cut them off and checkmate to follow shortly after. All right, so what they're gonna do is allow you to check them, so you have to move back. They go toward the center. You don't go directly in front of them. They go toward the center, go toward your rook. Remember, like I said, this is the longest way possible. All right. Oh, what did I do there? Oh, moved my king when I shouldn't have. We're going to move the rook away. Same as before. We don't step in front of them. We spend a waiting move. They step in front, check. They go after our rook, and we swing to the other side. They step in front of us, but our king's still too far away. We come here. That way, if they come here, checkmate. All right, so they're going to go toward the rook, toward the rook, toward the rook, and run away. All right, so all they have to do here is run away, come here. Now we don't step in front of them. Sorry, I got to repeat it. Just kind of drill it into you. Definitely practice this endgame over a board. Sit there and do it by yourself. Try to survive with the enemy king, so you get the best play possible. And they have to. Oh, we have to play a waiting move, and then they can either run away or give you the checkmate. So they're going to run away here, and now their only move is here, and this is checkmate. All right, so all cut off, and I'm just going to show that easy position one more time. All right, this is checkmate the long way, and remember the fast way is, all right, it's white's moved, waiting move, chase them down. As soon as they touch any edge, right, and your king is one square away diagonally, plant that rook right there. All right, plant the rook right there. They're cut off. All right, they only have one direction to go. Bring the king up. All right, leave this little border wall here. They're going to run away. Run away. Boom. Here. Waiting move. Here. Boom. Here. Mate. All right, so just chase them down. Never step in front of the enemy king. Let them step in front of you. Cut them off on the sides, or on the rook files or the back ranks if you can. That's pretty much it. If you have any questions at all, leave them in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and see you on the next one.